So this May 4th, well, May the 4th be with you, I should say, Rise of Skywalker is coming to Disney Plus. And it's going to be the first time within a streaming platform that all Star Wars movies, from beginning to end, from the first trilogy to the second to this final one, that they'll all be together. It's a very unprecedented moment. And just curious to know, to my fans out there, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? What's your favorite Star Wars moment? Who's your favorite Star Wars character? What's your favorite way to watch Star Wars? Do you watch it linearly, chronologically, the machete order? How do you guys enjoy Star Wars? Me, I prefer the machete order myself personally. Totally skipping episode 1 because it, minus the fight between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul, it pretty much to me holds no bearing to the story whatsoever. But who am I? I'm just a guy who likes Star Wars. Blurds and nerds, freaks and geeks. This is Do You Speak Geek, episode 28. Welcome to another episode of Do You Speak Geek. I am your host, Nix. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you join me for the first time, welcome. And if you're an avid listener, welcome back. This show is hosted by Spreaker. That is the home team. Shout out to Spreaker. You can also listen to me on any other platform out there. And those platforms include Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and many others. Please subscribe to the podcast. Be sure to like the episodes. And also follow us on social media at Facebook, which is at DYSG Media, at Twitter, which is at _ Do You Speak Geek, and on Instagram at Do You Speak Geek. The YouTube channel, the Dono and Daddy Show, you got 2 new videos this week. You got our episode for May, which is going to be our first Friday fights, which got pretty heated between he and I when we debated My Hero Academia versus X-Men. And you got an episode this past Sunday, which celebrated Bullet Club Day, and Donald ran down his top 10 members of Bullet Club. So please check that out when you get an opportunity. And also, as always, keep your ear to the ground, people. DoYouSpeakGeek.com. It is coming. I will not let you guys down. Let's speak geek.
Suit up.
I wanna be the very best.
Talk nerdy to me.
Are you ready?
So the big story this week, and it's beef. The big story this week is beef. AMC and Regal theaters are refusing to play films from Universal Pictures. Now, the two companies have joined in solidarity by publicly declaring that they will no longer show Universal releases when their cinemas finally reopen due to the studio's decision to release some of their movies early to video on demand rather than to wait to show them in theaters once the quarantine is over. Now, AMC specifically blasted Universal following a report touting how well Trolls World Tour had done on video on demand, and the studio saying it sees this as a roadmap for other possible releases. Universal opted to release the Trolls sequel digitally this past month rather than to wait to release it in cinemas later in the year or even next year. Now, it was a big gamble for Universal, as theater owners fumed over the studio's decision to ditch cinemas, but it reportedly paid off big time for the studio. Now, why the beef, you ask? Well, what makes digital releases even more appealing to studios is that they retain about 80% of the profits from a video on demand release, which is significantly higher than the 50% of profits that they take home from box office receipts with a theatrical release. Now, as it turned out, Universal made more revenue from Trolls World Tour after 3 weeks on digital than they did in 5 months of the original Trolls in theaters. Universal will most likely not go the video on demand route with releases from franchises such as Fast and Furious or Jurassic World, but with 2 major movie theater chains refusing to show their movies, who knows what's going to happen. Now, as for me personally, I know a lot of theaters out there, with AMC and Regal. There's Cinemark. There's one that's here locally called Cinema Cafe. And Cinema Cafe is probably going to be where I go to see these movies if they don't go to AMC or Regal, which I do love Regal. I got my Regal card, But the theaters who don't show these are going to see a lot of business, but it's going to be a lot of strain on people who go to these major theaters to see these movies and they're not going to be seen. So it only hurts the theater, I think, when they don't show these movies. But hopefully they come to some sort of an agreement and these major theaters begin to show pictures from Universal. Let me jump into my favorite portion of the show, Source Wall.
Man, you come right out of a comic book.
Behold the source wall.
Can you read, my son?
Well, that depends.
There is nothing wrong with reading a story and looking at the pictures.
Enough said, Stan. Let's jump right into it. The pull list this week, we got more independent comics. I'm loving the indies, even though I'm missing my DC and my Marvel. I'm loving these indie picks that I've been giving you guys so far over the past few weeks. Last Ride of the Four Horsemen, #1 by Kevin Laporte and Nathan Smith. Famine. The apocalypse falls on the last town in creation, and the horseman Famine is its harbinger, arriving in the form of a monstrous plowman set forth to wreak devastation by the edge of his plowshare and by the hoof of his hellish workhorse. He is challenged only by a small card of townsfolk and an angry tycoon, a socialite mayor, a hardened sheriff, and a grizzled hired gun. Can they bring themselves to harness a force potentially more deadly than the plowman to have a mere chance to repel him? You guys will have to see and check that one out. Floor Host, Service Breakdown #1 by Ted Lodi. Lex and Kenny are called into work on their off day. They have not had an actual day off in several weeks, plus payroll is late again. On the car ride to work, they discuss their past relationships with women and the various mommy-daddy issues. At work, much to Lex's surprise and Kenny's dismay, Ken's mom comes out of early retirement and becomes a dancer at their club. Later that afternoon, Ken and Lex are reunited with a former classmate who has dropped out of college to become a rapper. Now, this one is an interesting book here. Not your typical superhero comic, but it's definitely a good story, one I will love to read. Ted Lodi did a good job on this one so far. And finally, we have Sweetheart 5 by Dylan Gilbertson and Francisco Equanita. This is the end. Maddie makes a final attempt to save herself, her family, and a town with no hope of being saved. Will she succeed, or will she finally understand why the town has given up? Guys, I have to check that out to find out why. In Source Wall news, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story, The Last Ronin, coming out of IDW Publishing, is coming this summer. Now, it was announced this past Monday they will release the 5-issue miniseries called The Last Ronin, based on a decades-old concept by Ninja Turtle co-creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. The synopsis is, in a future New York City far different from the one we know today, a lone surviving turtle goes on a seemingly hopeless mission to obtain justice for his fallen family and friends. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin features layouts by Eastman, inks by Andy Kuhn, and a script by Tom Waltz. My question is, who is the lone surviving turtle? Now, smart money would go with either Leo or Raph. I would love a plot twist and say it's Michelangelo. You know, of course, the safe bets, of course, are Leo and Raph. Of course, following that would be Donnie because he's the smart one. But that would be a dope little plot twist if it actually was Michelangelo, who is the lone surviving turtle. I think that would be kind of fly. And finally, new comics from Marvel are coming. Marvel has revealed their plans for new comics, which we found out today, and it will resume on Wednesday, May 27th. Marvel revealed it will start releasing a balance of individual issues and trades as the industry restarts and businesses open up once more, and these releases will be available in both print and digital formats. Things kicking off going to be with Amazing Spider-Man 43, Avengers 33, Marauders 10, Star Wars Dr. Aphra #1, finally, and Venom 25. Let's watch this.
Watch this, y'all. Thunder! Thunder! Thunder!
Lannister always pays his debts.
Whoa, dude.
I am the villain of the story.
So, big rumor coming out of the MCU here. Marvel Studios is planning possibly to bring one of the most controversial stories in comics to the big screen. Now, according to this MCU blog called MCU Cosmic, Marvel Studios is quietly adapting the Ultimate Universe comic book event Ultimatum for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, plot details are scarce regarding the project, but if Marvel Studios does go through with bringing Ultimatum to the MCU, it will more than likely not be a straight adaptation of the comic. This would follow similar changes from comic to screen, same way they did with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Civil War, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, and also Endgame. Now, for those of you who have not read Ultimatum, Ultimatum was a limited series back in 2009 written by Jeff Loeb and drawn by my good friend David Finch. And it brought together the main superheroes of the Ultimate Universe, like the Ultimates, in that universe they call the Avengers, where they have the Ultimates there, Spider-Man, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. The story is centered around Magneto seeking revenge for the deaths of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and he reversed the Earth's magnetic field, causing natural disasters across the entire world. Now, it drew criticism for the fact that it felt like every 10 to 20 pages there was death. And I don't mean just regular death, I mean brutal, bloody, gory death.
I don't feel so good.
If you don't like this book, I understand why. I thought it was kind of over the top, but it was dope no less. Now, it's unclear whether Marvel will adapt it, but it does have major players under the MCU banner if it chooses to go this route. The main villains, Magneto and Doctor Doom, will more than likely make their MCU debuts before the X-Men and Fantastic Four, and that will make sure they're properly introduced and get ready for Ultimatum. This may go into Phase 5 schedule, but who knows. And DC Animation gets a brand new look in the first photo for the next Superman movie. Beginning with next summer's Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, the DC movies will get a new look, like DC's Rebirth Initiative in the comics, breaking away from the look and feel of the New 52, and it will allow films to embrace a modern reinvention of a classic aesthetic, and starting with the company's first and best superhero. Yeah, I said it, superhero, best superhero, Superman, fight me.
You wanna go? You wanna go, bro? Woo!
A first look image that ran at Entertainment Weekly, fans can see the new Superman and Lex Luthor as they will appear in Man of Tomorrow. As a bonus, the magazine also revealed the actors who will be cast in the voice parts. Darren Crisis will play Superman in the film. Zachary Quinto of Heroes and Star Trek fame will voice Lex Luthor. Whew, just the fact that Sylar is voicing Lex Luthor gives me the chills. Okay. Alexandria Daddario will voice Lois Lane in the movie. Brett Dalton from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be Parasite, while Lobo will be voiced by The Walking Dead's Ryan Hurst. EW also lists Ike Amandi as fellow superhero Martian Manhunter, Neil Flynn from Scrubs as Jonathan Kent, and Bellamy Young from Scandal as Martha Kent, sorry. And Hercules, the Hercules movie back in the day from Disney, they are set to have a live-action remake in the works, and it's going to be produced by AGBO Studios. If that sounds familiar, that's the Russo brothers. Now, Disney has swayed Avengers Endgame directors Joe and Anthony Russo to help lead their latest live-action reboot of the beloved animated film Hercules, though the filmmakers will serve as producers only. They will be joined by another alum of the MCU, David Callahan, penning the script, fresh off of writing Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, it's not clear at this point if the film will be a faithful remake. The original Hercules movie included multiple memorable musical numbers, the Muses, you gotta love them. Walt Disney Studios has wavered between that and recent productions. Now, while films like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and Lion King have proven to be faithful adaptations of the originals, in the recent years, plus the upcoming release of Mulan, they're kind of getting away from the iconic songs and focusing strictly on story and score. So we'll see what happens. I personally don't mind a copy and paste from the original to the live action. But, if you tweak a few things here and there, I can deal with it, no problem. So we'll see how it goes. But, as a blurred, I gotta tell you, if the Muses are not casted properly, there's gonna be a problem in these streets. Let's get the thumb live.
Peace, love, and video games!
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Batman is playing Galaga.
Alright, The Last of Us Part 2 gets a new release date. Naughty Dog, one of my favorite companies, shout out to Uncharted. Naughty Dog has released a message from its social media account addressing The Last of Us Part 2, and they're also addressing the leaks as well. Now, I'm not going to be talking about spoilers here at all, so you can just forget it. But I will mention that June 19th is the release date now for Last of Us Part 2. Now, in a short tweet, Naughty Dog writes, quote, "We know the last few days have been incredibly difficult for you. We feel the same. It's disappointing to see the release and sharing of pre-release footage from our development. Do your best to avoid spoilers, and we ask that you don't spoil it for others." A set of what seems to be major spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2 leaked. Watch what you watch, people. Just be careful. Please don't spoil it for people. Just don't be that person. I don't understand why some people have spoilers, but it just seems to me
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
And that's how it goes. However, on another note, they have also released the notes. Well, not the notes, really. The space required for the game. 100 gigabytes are required space for this game. I just hope the space does not let me down as far as the gameplay and content. Also, WWE Games announces 2K Battlegrounds. WWE Games tweeted the new game announcement this past Monday morning, which is going to be WWE 2K Battlegrounds, in a new arcade-style brawler developed by NBA 2K Playground Studio Saber Interactive. Favorite wrestlers from across eras and over-the-top superstar designs will star in the new wrestling game. 2K says it is focusing on social pick-up-and-play fun instead of a more traditional wrestling sim like the WWE 2K series. 2K Battlegrounds is scheduled to be released this fall. Now, when I hear pick-up-and-play fun, it sounds like there's not going to be any kind of creative mode whatsoever. Kind of pointless to me. I mean, if you're going to have a sports or a sports-esque like title, why not have creative modes? But who am I? I'm just a guy who plays video games. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is finally complete, and DICE/EA is also teasing Battlefield 6. Now, DICE has released the Battle on Scarf update for the Star Wars Battlefront 2 this past Wednesday. It is also the last regular content update for the game, so give it up for that. EA also announced that DICE will release a new Battlefield game in 2021. It follows news that the June content update for Battlefield 5 will also be that game's last as well. I am looking forward to Battlefield 6. I think it is going to be fire. It's the only shooter that I actually like. I don't play shooters. Yes, I don't play shooters. But if I had to play a shooter, it would be Battlefield. And the big news that came out of video games this past week. New Assassin's Creed game officially revealed. Now, Ubisoft revealed the setting for the next iteration of the iconic Assassin's Creed franchise via a live stream from artist Cody Abodo, better known as Boss Logic. Assassin's Creed Valhalla throws players axe first into 9th century England, an age of warring kingdoms and Viking conquest. As Eivor, a fierce Viking raider, you'll lead your clan to build a new home amid England's fractured dominions. Launching holiday 2020 on PS5 and Xbox Series X, as well as PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Stadia. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will let you raid, conquer, and fight for glory in a mysterious, brutal new land. Nearly every decision you make will have lasting effects throughout the world. Violence won't be your only tactic for getting what you want. A silver tongue can be as effective as a steel sword when it comes to finding a home for your people. Shifting England's balance of power and expanding your influence through diplomacy will likely make you more friends than brute force. Every political alliance you build, combat strategy you employ, and dialogue choice you make will alter your journey. Now that comes straight from Ubisoft's website. I may actually play this one. Another confession, I've never played an Assassin's Creed game ever. Okay, alright,
You
we
suck.
cool now? Cool. Let's get into Geek Beyond Geek.
What is our universe made of?
Is extraterrestrial human contact.
Yes, science!
Now, this one is hilarious. The Pentagon, yes, that Pentagon, has released UFO videos for the record. The U.S. Department of Defense has released 3 declassified videos of, quote, unexplained aerial phenomena. The Pentagon said it wanted to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage has been circulating was real. The videos had already been leaked in 2007 and 2017. 2 were published by the New York Times, while the 3rd was leaked by an organization co-founded by former Blink-182 singer Tom DeLonge. That's funny. After they were first leaked, some people claimed the videos showed alien unidentified flying objects, UFOs. According to the New York Times, a clip from 2004 was filmed by 2 Navy fighter pilots and shows a round object hovering above water, about 100 miles out to the Pacific Ocean. 2 other videos filmed in 2015 shows objects moving through the air one of which is spinning. In one video, a pilot is heard saying, "Look at that thing, dude, it's rotating." Quote, end quote. Well, I mean, we're already in a pandemic. We have probably an alien for a president. Why not have actual aliens come down? Come on down, aliens, set a spell. I'll get you your first comic book. Well, folks, that's my episode. I'm getting out of here. As always, thanks for listening. Please, please, please subscribe. Like the podcast. Go to the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe to the content there as well. Follow us on social media. Facebook at DYSG Media. Twitter _ Do You Speak Geek. And Instagram at Do You Speak Geek. As always, people, live to play to win to live. I speak geek. Do you speak geek?